Hello, hello, namaste, namaste. A very warm welcome to In Our Humble Opinion.
Ayo!
Welcome, and with me are my panelists, my friends, Chris Handsome Henson,
Hi, everybody.
Gilbert Prof. Chia,
Hello,
and me, Cool Grandma Daisy. Okay,
new grandma.
new Grandma Daisy. So, of course, the hot topic of the day is the US elections. The whole world is watching fervently to find out what the dramatic finale is going to be. We're going to be touching on that. In the meanwhile, back home in Singapore, we have men who are strutting around with women's high heel shoes. I wonder why. We're going to tell you why. And then, unfortunately, there are some stories about domestic abuse. Really sad, but we need to bring those stories to you to create awareness so that this just stops once and for all. Interesting story about a vigilante who is helping to clean up Singapore. So is this vigilante a hero or a snitch? We're going to be discussing that. And finally, a story about boys will be boys, seeking adventure and then getting lost. And finally, the new normal. There are jobs available in Singapore, but there are no takers. Why? We'll tell you, or at least our opinions about why. So first, kudos to the 30 Singaporean men, including our celebrity Hosan Leong, who walked 1.6 kilometers, that's nearly a mile, in heels, in ladies' high heels. Not for fashion, but to raise awareness for domestic abuse. It's a charitable cause. It was a launch of Luxquisite's charity campaign, and it was very aptly named A Mile in Her Shoes. And that's the reason these 30 men were walking around in high heels to raise support in the fight against domestic violence. Well, the participants were not just anybody. They included various lawyers, doctors, directors, influencers, and of course, media personalities. This campaign, I'm happy to say, is a collaboration between the Singaporean jewelry retailer and fine dining restaurant Sinfonia Restaurant. And their goal was to raise 100,000 for the Association of Women for Action and Research, that's AWARE.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you, why did AWARE have to do this? Because they've experienced a very worrying 112% spike in domestic violence related calls throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. And therefore, they had to do a mile in her shoes to gain and get this awareness about this domestic violence. Would you like to share, my panelists, some more about this wonderful charitable cause?
So I think it's fun and it's funny, and it definitely gets people's attention to see these men inelegantly and some very elegantly strutting around in high heels. And we can tell that definitely it's not easy to wear these things. I think the issue here is a very serious one, and definitely one that needs for us to pay attention to, which is this increase in domestic violence. Obviously, when people are cooped up at home during the circuit breaker, they're not able to escape. The women who are being abused, and in some cases, I guess, some men also, but generally mostly women, and even children cannot escape, basically. And
Absolutely.
Being cooped up is going to fray tempers and make people even more irritated. And I think that that's a really serious issue.
But I need to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Both of you, men. I need to understand, first of all, why do men in high heel shoes, how are they representing the cause? That's one. And second, just out of curiosity, have you guys ever walked in women's high heel shoes?
Okay, so I think to answer your first question first, I'll let Chris answer the second question.
About walking in high heel
shoes.
shoes.
The reason for it is quite simple, because they said, you walk a mile in her shoes, meaning in women's shoes. So they just took it literally. And it's just a way to get attention.
Yes,
So,
a way to get attention.
Yeah, so I think,
good,
wonderful,
sort of eye-catching initiative.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Because basically they're saying you've got to put yourself in a woman's shoes. So both figuratively and literally.
Yeah, I think
Well, it's been a while since I wore high heel shoes, so maybe I'm just tottering around in flat shoes. Grandma and all got to carry baby, so that's why. So, Chris, have you worn
I answer the first question first. Okay. You have to take Gilbert so seriously to make me answer the second part.
No, but he
I will answer
also
both.
has to answer the
I will
second
answer
part.
both.
Yes,
I'll
yes,
answer
yes.
both.
I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I think it's cool, according to the theme, and I'm laughing at the pictures because it's so funny. You got shredded-looking guys, beefcakes with nice-looking quads, big quads, and stuffed themselves into high-heel shoes, and I think it's pretty cool walking in a woman's shoes. Yeah, sure. It's good of these guys, and I applaud them. And whether I have worn high heels before, many times.
Ooh, now you're talking. And how
Not
do
because
you
I'm a
feel?
cross-dresser, just in case both of you got conjunctivitis in your mind's eye,
The
as
image
usual.
of you
No, but
with,
just because you
No,
wanted
because
to-
as an entertainer, right? There have been shows throughout my career that I've had to wear women's clothes.
not as a cross-dresser, but because to entertain.
Because it is as an entertainer. I have done so
And what
many
did you
times.
feel?
you got to share those photos.
What did you feel?
It was fun.
And
And it
you-
was
you
darn
didn't topple
difficult.
over.
Oh man, let me tell you. First of all, damn hard to find female high heel shoes my size.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree,
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, it was a nightmare for the event organizers. I tell you, all the event organizers that had me do that. And it's not easy, definitely not. And you've got to have strong legs, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta. One thing I gotta
Because
say.
you're thrown off balance.
Yeah, my women friends who wear stilettos every single day for work, look good and all that. But damn, the calf muscles.
Yeah,
Woo,
yeah.
woo.
So
Not easy.
what do you think, just asking both of you, that those high heels represent? A lot more than just being a woman.
Strength.
So what? Strength, like you said, oh God, you need those strength. And
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that high heels are bad, and that women shouldn't feel compelled to wear them. I think that
Yeah,
it's
you're right.
it's part of the whole patriarchy thing. You got to walk and look a certain way to So,
But these days, Gilbert, I don't know.
I think
Don't know
it's
if you
fine.
realize. I've realized this. Most women nowadays, they actually wear flats.
Yeah.
And they even wear sneakers.
That's me, yeah. Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's
Yes,
fine.
it's
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
No, I think we've moved on to fashion being comfortable as well. But I
Yeah.
think, just as a symbol, it worked. And I sincerely hope that they managed to collect their $100,000 dollars.
Yeah, the
which they
campaign
were
is still
aiming for.
ongoing, so I
Yes.
think that's good. And to answer your question, I've never worn it as an adult simply because there are no shoes that fit me. I mean,
What size?
So you wore it as a child?
No, what size?
well,
do
I tried my mom's shoes or something at
Yeah.
some point.
That we all do. The black. No, what size do you wear?
No, normal men's size 41. No, no one.
don't want.
Yeah, women's shoes don't.
I hate to
that.
say that I won't mention what my size is.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
never
No,
mind.
but do you
But
want to tell us
I
about
think
the
that
link?
I think the issue here of the domestic violence is an important one.
Yeah.
And I think that it is still ongoing. A lot of it is ongoing, even though the circuit breaker is over right now. And this raising awareness and what Aware is doing, which is to give women real support, because it's one thing to talk about, we're against domestic violence, but you need to provide the women who are facing domestic violence with real alternatives. Where do they go if they're trying to escape an abusive spouse? Where do they go with their child, for example? And I think that kind of shelters and help is very important.
You're right, because I when I used to do some volunteer work with the Samaritans at that time, and I found out we used to have a helpline, and the women who were abused sometimes, especially in the night, used to call if there was any violence and all that. But what you also learn is that they call you, they are so upset, they're so angry, they need help, they're crying, and then help needs to be there at the correct time, because in the morning those same women call up because there's a mixture then of fear that because he's awake now and hangover, but the drunkenness is gone, and most of them always come back and say I'm sorry or I apologize, and then this vicious cycle
Absolutely
keeps going on, and
Yep.
that's the time you need organizations, like you correctly said, to come there, give strength to these women that yes, you can
not just
handle
strength, but also to give them a place to go,
say, that you
and to
can-
have long-term counseling and all that. See, the thing about it is that the issue of domestic violence is such a tricky one, because the fear of the unknown and the fear of having to leave the family is so
yeah.
great that
And
people rather they get used to the abuse.
And if there are kids involved,
Yes,
the decisions are
exactly.
even more difficult.
And if you actually study this issue, you'll see that this happens a lot. Is that one reasons why women keep going back to their abuser is also because there's no alternative for them. You know, they tend to be less educated, lower income, and really much more at the mercy.
Sometimes it's also Stockholm syndrome.
Yes, yes.
But talking about abuse, I'd like to move on to this next story, which is
Yes, which
horrifying.
is linked. Yes.
Because it's also about abuse, but it's a Singaporean couple, a woman and her husband abusing another woman with intellectual disability.
Yeah, this is a horrifying case.
Horrendous.
You know, when it came about, it's a family in Singapore accused of abusing a 30-year-old female friend who has got mild intellectual disability, and they did horrifying, inhumane things to her, urinating into food and forcing her to eat the food, taking a hammer and hitting her teeth with it. You know,
Tying her up.
perform sexual acts on her.
No, that one didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that one was more consensual. Then the female abuser discovered that this happened with her husband.
Yeah, but the thing about it though is that when you're doing it on someone who's intellectually disabled,
Yes, I mean we don't know
issue
the
of
we don't know
consent
the
is-
we don't know the
she
entire
hit-
facts about that
Yeah.
She hit this girl so hard with a broomstick
until they
that the
broke.
broom broke. I mean,
Yeah.
who are these? Okay, so the
They
question.
splash boiling water on her. You know, I mean, it just goes on, and it's horrifying.
No, the worst
you
part
know,
is
you-
if you know what the worst part is. The worst part is during Hari Raya,
Correct. I was just
other family members visited the home
Correct.
and saw her in the
saw
state.
Noor
Yeah.
with her hands.
She was bound hand and feet, and they just ignored it.
Yeah,
And the husband that lives in the house, all right, he ignored it too. And
Yeah.
when the wife asked him to slap her a few times, he
He did.
did it.
He did it.
You know, I just don't understand this. And this is what really irks me the most, that people, especially the relatives of
Yes.
this family, shame on you
Shame
Yes,
on.
absolutely.
for just staying silent and doing nothing.
Correct. So the point is just like the earlier story about abuse. You see it, you know it's being done. Is it then your responsibility to go ahead and
yeah. Obviously, it is. I mean,
inform
you know,
the police, do
it's-
something about
in
it?
this case, it's even
Why
more
the silence?
egregious.
Why the silence?
Well, it's even more egregious in this case because it's not like you see it in a neighbor. This is you're seeing it in someone you know doing this. You see.
Maybe that's all the reason why these people feel that they shouldn't snitch.
Haha, yes. And why? Why
I'm not
the
saying it's right.
silence?
I'm just saying maybe that was what was going through their minds.
Yeah.
You know, when they saw all that. And
I think that in this case, there needs to be, I don't know if it's the law right now, but I'm pretty sure there must be some law that if you're complicit in witnessing a crime and not reporting it, then you are also responsible for that. You
know,
know,
that's-
it's the same thing, for example, if you see someone being, I don't know, raped or stabbed and you keep quiet about it.
So is there a law like that?
I would think so, but if there isn't, then definitely
Then
there
it's
needs to
time,
be,
because-
And I think that this goes on aside from this case. Okay, this case is one case and it's horrifying, but there are so many other cases of both maid abuse and child abuse, which cannot go unnoticed. That neighbors would have heard screaming, crying,
Correct.
would have seen things happening, but which don't report. And this silence is complicity.
But Gilbert, Daisy, I'm reading this again, and it says that her husband, that spineless twit,
Yeah.
pleaded guilty to one count of assaulting the victim and sentenced to 3 weeks jail. But
Honey.
the wife, Haslinda, let's name her, and 3 of her siblings are expected to plead guilty on November 25th.
Yeah, so they'll have their
So now there are siblings
Sentencing.
involved as well in this abuse.
So it's
Yeah.
like I've got this person who can't fight back, is mentally, intellectual disabled. Just go.
No, what I'd like to know is
what
what
makes
role
these people do this?
Yeah, but what role did the three siblings have? Could it be that they've also been charged for not reporting? Is there such a thing that you can be charged for not reporting, though being witness to something that's
Well,
gone
yes.
wrong?
Yeah.
There is such a thing, right? It's against the law.
Yeah.
But then even these guests who were there at Hari Raya, what happens to them? I mean, this just a
You see, it
cycle.
says here that after that day, the other members of the family also engaged in various acts of abuse against this poor woman.
Oh, God.
So, it was not only this woman, but her siblings as well who engaged in this. It really is just incomprehensible. And I'm glad that this finally, how was this even finally reported?
Because she had to be sent to the hospital because she was nearly at her,
Yeah, right.
Well, let me quote. I think this article said it well. She was in a near-death state.
Oh, God.
So there was no choice but to rush her to a hospital.
And that's where all this...
And this was on January 16th,
Yeah.
2018.
Well, it's just...
So this has been going, this case has been going on for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But talking about snitch, should people report, not report? Let's go on to this other very, very interesting story because we are going away from abuse, but it's also about where is this line where you report? Where is this line where you go forward and say, no, this is wrong, this person is doing it, please, do
Okay,
something about
all right.
it. Chris, do you want to tell
This
us the
kind of
story
angry
about
one must come to
no,
me.
No, this is
Must
not
come to
angry.
me.
Because it's an important
No.
discussion.
I'm angry.
Hero? Was he a hero? Was he a snitch?
He's an absolute idiot.
No. I
He's an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm saying it. 62-year-old guy living in Tampines. Spends almost all of his free time being a darn voyeur, in my opinion. Catching litterbugs and such around his estate. And securing these photographic evidences. Reporting them, sending them and reporting them to the NEA. Now, I'm looking at this article. Why am I fed up? Because look at how he's posing for the article. Look at that. You tell me this is not the face of a person who's being so egotistical and darn wrongly proud of himself for doing this. And then allowing others to take a picture of him too, I suppose. On taking pictures of others out of his window. I mean, how'd that happen, right? So I can only make the assumption, call me an ass, but I don't care, of that he posed for that picture as well.
Yeah. But Chris, he only posed for the picture after people started talking about him on social media.
Yeah, so what's he doing it
No,
for?
but he's been doing this for a long time. Okay, you tell me, you obviously think he's an ass.
Yeah, stardom.
Well, I
Some form of stardom.
beg to defer because we could look at it in that way that he wanted to make a positive difference. No. The question is,
In a perfect world, Daisy, I
Look,
suppose.
I think that this is the issue
they are
here.
misdemeanors.
No.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
They're misdemeanors. There is glittering. There is spitting. Now, the point of the matter is that is wrong. Now, he was looking at it. He was reporting it to the police. He was trying in his mind to make a positive difference.
Would you do it? Would you be trigger happy with your phone?
But you know what I
Are you
what
a
I do?
stomper?
No, listen. What I do is that if I am in the MRT and if there is a place where it's required for an old person and there's this young person with headphones on listening to music and this old person comes, yes, I might not take a picture and send it to Storm.
No, that's right.
That's
That's
the big
incidental.
difference.
That's
Go and
incidental.
say-
But that's the big
Excuse
difference.
me.
No,
That's not
but you're
deliberate.
doing something.
You're doing something.
This guy is not. He's
He
not
is
stopping.
deliberately-
and sending it to
No,
the
hang
police.
That's
on.
not stopping the littering, though.
No, but I'm sure it's making there's an awareness being
I
created.
think you're drawing the wrong kind of,
So for
of
me,
comparisons here.
I feel
I think it's different if
he
he went
remained
down.
anonymous for a long
Yeah,
time.
no,
okay?
I
He
think-
Finish it,
did
didn't I?
remain
I don't want to
anonymous.
cross talk. You finish it.
No, I think it's different if he was down there. He told the person, "Hey, don't litter.
But
Pick
it's-
it up."
it's not
but
as
when you're
easy
up
for
there-
Exactly.
Yes.
That's a neighborly thing to do.
Yes.
Right? Hey, excuse me, could you just please pick
Yes.
that up? If he doesn't
And-
do it, you take a picture of
okay,
him,
yeah.
sure. Hang on.
No, you
that
are
compares.
not-
Hello, you talk already. Let me talk, Ken, and not auntie.
Yes.
Thank
No,
you.
but not auntie.
Okay, grandma. Ken, better. That's
please,
actually worse than auntie. Okay,
No,
anyway.
why is it worse? Oh
No,
my
let me
God.
finish. See, I cannot talk. No, I'll tell you this.
Go ahead,
I'll
go
tell you.
ahead. Yeah.
This is,
Irritating,
we
no.
take this later.
Huh?
Why is being grandma worse than auntie? I really need to understand that.
No. Auntie, you're taking side to auntie, but you're okay with grandma. Anyway, that's not the
Grandma's
topic.
older than
The
auntie,
point
right?
is that drawing a comparison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drawing a comparison between you taking a picture of someone, for example, a kid, sitting down in a seat that's meant for pregnant
Yes,
ladies
yes.
and it's meant for senior people, that's fine because you're not deliberately going out hunting people for it. This guy's on a hunt.
Also, I
He's
think
out
that
there
this-
deliberately
So my
hunting.
question to you all is...
So what is he, a
if you
security
see-
guard?
No, if
Wait,
you
let
see
me
a
make my
crime being
point
committed,
first.
if you see a crime
I
being
will
committed,
yes.
what
I will
should
not
you
take a
do
photo.
as a
Okay, but
citizen?
Daisy, listen to me. Let me make my point. It's very important. There is a big difference between seeing someone committing a crime and taking a photograph and stopping the crime. One is activism when you're actually stopping the thing. The other one is voyeurism. So if you go on MRT, you see someone occupying a seat they do not, and there's an old woman who needs it, and I tell them, hey, do you mind giving the seat to the auntie over here or the grandma over here? That's good. But if I stay silent and I just take a photograph and I go and
But
stomp
Gilbert,
it,
let me
that
just tell
doesn't
you.
help
No,
at
Okay,
all.
I don't know about the
Yeah.
stomp
Let me
it
read
part,
you-
but it is not. And
Let me
tell
read to you what's in
it is
Shin Min.
not so easy to just, you use words like neighborliness, you use words like
Then don't
activism.
do it.
Then-
No,
yeah.
So the point is, let
Yeah.
me tell you. So again, I've gone through it. You meet somebody who's not wearing a mask.
Okay.
And you just say, excuse me, please put your mask on. And that person looked around and was so rude to me and said, what's your problem?
Yes.
I'll walk to the other side of the road. I'll put on the mask when I
Okay.
need to.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
Okay.
That's one way.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the age of this man and I'm thinking he's trying in whatever way he can. Because whatever you say, yes, a crime has been committed. The point is, where do you draw the line? Where is this balance of becoming such a vigilante that, how much would you encourage this sort of behavior? That is the question.
No, I think that there's a very big difference between witnessing a violent crime, witnessing abuse, witnessing something where someone suffers, versus
Yeah.
littering.
Yeah.
And then to spend your whole day
Yes.
for years.
Let me read to you what it says here in the article.
But it
One-
is wrong.
I'm
isn't
not
it?
arguing
so is
about
it
that.
about how wrong something is before you report it?
No, I think that basically it is that this particular guy is spending all of his days doing this and seems to have no life except to do
The last
this.
I checked on the
does.
camera, right, on the
He
screen,
doesn't.
right, there's 3 of us, but this show seems to just be the 2 of you. Can I just read to you?
Please,
I've been
please.
trying
Yeah.
to say that from just now.
Yeah.
It says here, one-man mission almost 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
According to Shin Min, he sits by the window armed with a digital camera almost 24 hours a
Yes.
day, finger on the shutter button. He is ready to pounce at any moment. He naturally also takes down the car plates of perpetrators. Now, I mean, trigger happy, sitting there on guard,
Yeah.
deliberately on the lookout.
There's obviously something wrong with this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, but
You
the
know.
question still remains that
I've already
if
said
a
to you
crime
my
is
point.
committed,
No, I
what
think-
do you
Yeah,
do?
I-
So
I
there
stated
are
my
certain
point.
kinds of misdemeanors or which one can ignore.
No.
Or there is one which or you
Taking
come
photos,
down to the
taking
park.
photos is not
Okay,
activism.
so he comes down to the park.
He doesn't
and
have
he
to.
stands there
No.
and says, "Don't do
no,
this."
he
don't
doesn't.
Do that.
No one's making him do this.
Yeah.
Why is he even doing this?
Exactly, no
That's
one's
the
making
point.
him do
That is
this.
being a vigilante, isn't it?
If you come across it in your normal day and you want to speak out, that I would encourage. But to stay at home, out of the window, taking photographs almost 24 hours a day is a bit crazy. So to address your bigger point, if you're on the MRT, let's say, for example, I'll give you a very good example, right? Imagine someone who rides the MRT non-stop. I sit in the MRT all day waiting for someone to come and take a restricted seat. Then I take a photograph of that. and then I send it.
So what is the
Okay,
issue?
that's a very good. That's
No,
a
no.
very good example.
Yeah, no, so
Yeah,
what is
there's
the
something
issue?
wrong with that.
Is the issue that because he's there all the time taking pictures, is that the issue? Or is the issue
There
that
are many
he
issues
should not
here.
be taking pictures at all?
Unless you're an
many issues.
ornithologist and then you want to take pictures of birds
Yes.
all your life because that's your profession, no one can
I think
blame
you're
you.
extrapolating from this one man to a very big issue.
Yeah.
No, but the
And my
question we
point-
were talking about, is he a hero?
No.
Because he's doing his
Because
part.
I think he's nuts, and
Or is
there's
he a
obviously
snitch?
something wrong with him, and he's reporting on unimportant things. Littering like this, 24 hours a day, is not an important
So-
thing that's going to change society.
So if you
Yeah.
take pictures of what you think are important things, then
no,
it's
I don't
okay.
think anyone should go around wasting the day trying to take pictures and looking for crime.
And getting people in trouble sometimes.
Yes,
Sometimes
exactly.
for all you know,
I
it's
think
quite
if
accidental.
if you
know.
notice,
Yeah,
it,
that I agree.
Yeah.
That I agree.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's accident, like today, I took my mom's on a walking stick. I took her for a checkup, and then she wanted to go marketing,
Yeah.
so I was with her the entire morning.
Yeah.
She will always have. That's my mummy. She will
Tissue.
always have a tissue in
Yes.
her hand.
Yeah.
Peranakan ladies, you know.
Yes.
And while trying to grapple with her with moving around, obviously sometimes you just forget, it just slips out in your hand. Now, assuming something like that happens, and you have this crazy guy just.
No,
Yes.
I
And then
think
it looks like you actually committed littering, isn't it? It could be misconstrued, it could be misinterpreted.
Exactly.
A lot of
and
things
you
can happen.
You
So-
can extrapolate from him to say, imagine there's this guy, he drives around all day trying to film people who commit traffic violations. That's the job of the police.
Yeah.
If you come across something happening in your daily life and you feel your personal decision to speak out, that's one thing. I always have a problem with people who think that taking a photograph and posting it on social media or sending it to authorities is enough already.
I think this is voyeurism on another level that's not sexual. You know what I mean? It's voyeurism.
This guy definitely has got
lack
something
of a
wrong with
lack of
him,
a
lah.
proper term.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like you mentioned, it would have been okay if you were standing at his window and taking pictures of birds. And so I'm going to segue from the birds directly into McRitchie Forest. Can I do that?
Yes.
Because, yeah, we've all given our thoughts about vigilante, snitch, hero. And now we are going to go into McRitchie Forest, where we had these two 14-year-old boys who got lost in the forest trying to find a World War II Japanese shrine. Now, I'm going to... No, it's boys will be boys.
Okay, so I think
Boys
what
will be
jumped out at me about
boys.
this story, I think first of all, kudos to them for wanting
Yeah.
to go outdoors and
I
not
admire,
stay.
yeah, I admire
Yeah.
their sense of curiosity to go and
Yes.
discover a Seonanjin shrine.
Yes, and to go
Right.
outdoors because we're a lot of young people that would just stay in and play.
Yeah, I
games,
applaud them
right?
for that, yeah.
What jumped out at me was that they brought no food or water because they assumed there would be vending machines there.
That's Singaporean.
yes.
That's
I
Singaporean.
mean, that to me really was like, it's like we're gonna go on this adventure
We're
into
going to
the
go for it.
forest.
But we're going to be taken.
But they think the forest is like a Disney theme park,
No. There's Wi-Fi in the forest or something
Yes,
where you
exactly.
can tap, pay wave
Well, they
your,
were. They
your
were.
card to get your vending machine.
Yes.
You get your drinks out of a
No,
vending
but
machine in the
they-
middle of the forest.
They're
They were
lucky.
following pieces of orange plastic.
Like I said,
trying to
yeah, I
surround
admire their
trees.
sense of adventure. I really
Yeah.
do. Because they bump across a guy on the way in, and this guy was on the way out,
Yeah.
and he was looking for the same shrine, but gave up looking for it.
Yeah.
Right?
And went home.
Yeah, but these two boys still ventured.
Yeah.
Like I said, 100 marks, man, 100 points for your sense of adventure going about. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if a bunch of guys in the army, bunch of soldiers, we go on exercise in Lim Chu Kang or whatever you,
Yeah.
and we're in the exercise area, we're going, hey, thirsty lah, we're not water. Where's the vending machine?
Yes, exactly.
I
Press
mean,
the
duh.
tap. Press the
Yeah.
tap. There should be a tap and a toilet.
What
you
about
know.
food?
I think, vending machines is what they were expecting. I think a couple of things. One is they were lucky also that
Yeah.
deep in the forest there was still cell reception
Yeah.
because this being Singapore,
Yes.
it's not that big, and they will get cell reception. They were able to call the police and then be able to given instructions to download a map that told them how to get out of there.
Hey, but I think we should make some special mention about the call handler. When they called the cops, right? Yes, they did.
Yeah, yes, they did.
So about
At
7:15 at night.
7:15.
Now inside that forest at 7:15, I mean, it's not for these bunch of kids. It's just only 14.
Yeah.
It's really dark. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So well, at least they got the handphones and their flashlights on the handphones, right? So they called but the call handler did this. told him to download the location finder app and entered 3 keywords to pinpoint the exact location. And told him to stay put and remain calm if he see any animals. I think that call handler was great.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and the rest of the people, the rest of the authorities that came down, let me see now. They were the cops, right? One day.
Yes.
The Gurkha
Yes.
officers, the
Gurkha
Gurkhas
officers,
from the
yes,
Singapore
yes.
Police Force, found them 2 hours later. And
And look at how many were mobilized.
yeah. I mean, that's cool. I think that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you do
50 personnel.
So all's well that ends well.
Mm.
So we just need to tell young boys and anybody who wants to go for a trek, please carry some water, carry some food, get a proper mat.
Yeah, please
and
don't think that the
of-
forest has got,
And we are lucky because we are Singapore, so we don't have forests which just go on and on like the ones in Malaysia. You
Yes,
know,
and that we
or
don't really have the
really
wild
forests.
animals.
Yeah, and we might not get any police to come and fetch you.
Yes.
There. Now, to a very, very interesting Singaporean story, especially during the new normal of COVID-19, that there have been 1,000 F&B jobs that are available, and yet these positions were available in the F&B sector as early as September 14th, when the Trade and Industry Minister Chan Chun Sing said that the Restaurant Association of Singapore is working with its members to provide more than 1,000 jobs to retrenched staff from Singapore Airlines. But the point is, those jobs haven't still been taken.
Well, you go back to the earlier story about people expecting vending machines in the forest. I think that this is kind of related to the fact, it's crazy because, there are over 120,000 unemployed. And still they're unable to fill these jobs in F&B, which really goes to show us several things. One is that Singaporeans are still definitely choosy about jobs. I'm not saying that everyone has to accept an F&B job, but the fact that they cannot find people to do this job really says something. And one of the realizations that I had, one of the things I was thinking about is that, in Singapore, most people are fine with housing. That means to say they've got housing taken care of. They're either living with their parents or they've got a place to stay. And, when I was living in the US, that you'll be out in the street because I had to pay rent, right? And I didn't have family there, so you're not living with your parents. And if you don't have a job,
You're
you
out on
really
the
are out on the streets. You have to pay rent, you got to pay utilities. And because there's so many homeless in the US, every day when you're out, you see evidence of homelessness,
Yep.
So it's a reality. Whereas in Singapore, let's face it, if I don't have a job and I'm staying with my parents, so what?
You know what this
Food on
is?
the table,
Yeah.
roof over your head.
Yeah. There's
medical
no
taken
hunger
care of.
left.
Every
Literally.
episode,
Yes,
we
yes,
try to
yes.
find terms, that Daisy may not have heard about. And so that she can pick up new terms. So far, we've been doing quite a good job.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah,
So
yeah.
today,
I'm
you know what I
writing it
think
down
this
in my diary.
based on what Gilbert has just said, this is called in Hokkien, Bui Zai Si. Bui Zai Si.
Boy, I see.
Well done.
You're sure it's not like what you did last week, right?
No, that
Let
one
me
was
say something that I don't know.
No, this one I'll explain to you what this means.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bui Zai Si means you don't fear death.
Yes, exactly.
You don't fear death, meaning that you don't fear death to the point where you're not going to go all out and do something to keep you alive,
Yeah.
to help you survive.
Yeah.
So this is really an issue because on the other side of the spectrum, if you've got, and I think it's true enough. I mean, the food business, I'm glad they're coming back up again. They're bouncing back up. But they need help.
Yes.
Now, this problem is deeper than just Singaporeans not wanting to take up jobs in front of a house, back of house of F&B establishments. And I mean, salaries can range between 1.3 to 7,000 a month. Now, not wanting to have the hard work, standing on your feet all the time, waiting on people, getting lousy, rude customers that most of us can agree that most people are like that, especially in our country these days. It's also the other side. The other side of the spectrum is the F&B business. These guys, if Singaporeans don't want these jobs, although they're very readily available, how are they possibly going to get help, right?
Yeah.
Their businesses are going to be
Absolutely.
impacted. And then now, because Singaporeans clamor about
foreign.
Foreigners doing
So
these
The
jobs.
government has restricted it even more.
I mean,
Yeah.
the message here is I mean, the foreigner matter. The message here is for the PMET positions.
Yeah.
But no, these poor guys, these business owners who know they've used to hiring people from Malaysia,
Yes.
people from China,
Philippines.
right? The Philippines,
Yes.
good chefs,
Especially
good
in this
bakers.
sector.
Philippines,
Yes.
especially for baking businesses,
Yes.
right?
And service, great service.
and now they don't have these help. And Singaporeans, okay, fine, we open it up to our own citizens, and Singaporeans don't want to work.
Correct. So
What's going to happen? The food
Correct.
industry is going to go.
no, either that, if they're going to be so fussy, if the economy is getting tattered by COVID, and if they are not going to be flexible or not willing to compromise, at some point of time, those jobs will have to go to foreigners.
No,
And
but you see,
that's,
this is
I
the
mean,
problem.
so that's the
No,
balance
Yeah, no, but
that
Daisy,
the government would
this
have
is
to work on.
Yeah, but this is the insanity of it, right? Singaporeans don't want these jobs. It's been proven.
Yeah.
Even if we don't want the job. But they also
Thousands.
cow bei, cow boo about foreigners having this job. That is the thing which really gets me. Sure, many of them are saying we're complaining about the PMETs, but you also see people complaining about why are there so many Filipino waiters. You know, they rage against foreigners. They were like a mountain village who shakes their fist at every stranger that comes in. And this is the problem with it, is that these F&B places cannot survive because the government, for whatever they are thinking, has restricted further S-Pass
Yes.
permits
Yes.
for the service industry.
Yes.
So they've not restricted on the PMETs, but they've restricted on the service line.
Correct.
So restaurants have got a higher quota, fewer S-passes to go around.
Correct. No,
This is insanity.
yeah, but you see and I totally agree with you. But I just think moving forward, you have a situation which is like this now. You offer the jobs because the businesses, the F&B businesses, are also owned by Singaporeans.
Yeah.
And if they wait, and they will not get anybody to fulfill those roles, at some point of time, there will be a discussion about how to bring in foreigners
No.
to fill.
No.
It's like
Daisy.
the workers.
No, Daisy. Let me tell you the history of it, and I'll set you straight
Yes,
on
please.
this.
Yeah.
The government has said no. The government has met many times with the restaurant owners and business owners over the past 10 years, and they have said, no, we will in no way change this policy.
what happens
Hang
then?
on. Restaurants have gone out of business. Many restaurants have gone out of business. You may not be aware of this, but I'm very aware of this because of my former job at Tatler when I was dealing with a lot of restaurants, and I know a lot of restaurant owners. So Andrew Joe, who is the CEO of Tung Lok, has said, I have had to close restaurants in Singapore because I cannot find staff.
Yep.
Not because I cannot find customers. I have got a lot of customers, but I cannot find staff. And thousands of restaurants in Singapore facing this problem.
But then-
So you're hoping that, okay, after a while, they'll have a conversation with the government. The government will say, oh, yes, you know. So, no, that has been happening for 10 years.
No, you're right.
No
I am
change
hoping,
at
no,
all.
I mean, this is wonderful, you sharing this with us. But I am hoping that knowing that the government would be in a situation where they would have to balance all different businesses to help with the economy. Because otherwise, we're just going to, every time there's nobody to fill the job, if businesses are going to, smaller businesses are just going to keep getting closed.
But that is what is happening. Part of
What
the
is going to
crisis, you
happen
talk
to
to
the
any
economy?
restaurant owner, they will say that one of the biggest challenges they have, aside from the cost of rent and F&B supplies and all of that, is really the staffing.
Every day on my Facebook, I've got lots of friends in the F&B business. Some of them have reopened. Some of them are opening new ones,
Yeah.
you know. And they always, I see it every day, looking for staff, looking for this, looking for cashier even if it's just sitting in your backside and just dealing with the money, looking for dishwashers and
What is the message to give the Singaporeans then?
basically, look, these are the jobs available.
Yes.
And then what do you want to say? Oh, this
I mean,
great
they
pay
think of it
package
as
and
a
all.
downgrade.
People
Okay.
do see
Or
it as a
maybe
down.
waiting for the market to get better,
I think
or-
what is worthwhile to explore, right? And I can just hear this. If anyone that watches this particular episode hear me say this is probably go, shut up, Chris. Well, I think it's still worthwhile exploring the tipping culture. You see, in America, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it is culture that if you sign off on a credit card and your bill, you're
Yes.
paying for your
15 to 20%.
Yeah, 15, 20%.
Extra, yeah.
And more often than not, correct me if I'm wrong again, the tipping culture there is that if you're the service staff, I give you good service, that 15, 20% is mine.
Yes.
And you know these guys who work or wait on tables in good restaurants anyway.
Yes,
Don't talk
yes.
about the diners.
But
in
even
good
the
restaurants.
diners, you get tipped.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
make
you do,
good
you do,
money.
you do.
Of course.
But the point is because in a larger restaurant, your tip of 15, 20% of that overall bill is a lot higher than what you get from the
yes.
total bill
Yeah.
of
But
a total
still-
bill in a
yeah,
diner.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to argue about that. The point is about the culture. And that these guys could actually live quite well.
Yes, yes.
You know, they
And
could
they
live
pay their
quite
way
well.
through college and
exactly.
all of that, yeah.
And nobody sees these jobs as demeaning,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Or tiring because
lot
the
of the
incentive
acts-
is good.
Yes.
On top of that, even as nearby to us as Australia, the guys who work in construction, they're very proud of what they do. I watch British shows. I mean, recently, I like to watch the baking shows out there
Yes.
coming out of England. and the jobs these people have, hey, when they mention what they do, whether they are a gardener, they say it with a lot of pride.
Yes,
It's
yes.
about perceptions.
Absolutely.
I do.
Yeah.
It's a societal
It's about-
mindset
yes.
as well. And I'll tell you this, okay? People who are listening to this might be saying, you guys crazy to expect me, who used to be whatever it is, SIA or whatever, to go and be a waiter. Let me
Yep.
tell you, I have got friends personally who have gone and become waiters at the age of 50 something because they needed to do something and to make money. And it is about a mindset. It is about not having this kind of prejudice against it, both from their own personal point of view and also from a societal point of
I
view.
think
Right,
that
right, right.
what you just said about prejudice. Prejudice
Yeah.
is something that I am very passionate about. All right? I'm not that I'm passionate
Yeah,
about being
passionate about
prejudicial.
fighting.
Fighting.
Yeah, because
Against-
why? Look, man, my mom says this to me ever so often. People get scared of you because of your tattoos. It's true. I mean, just recently as last week, there was a man. No, there's a family, and they had a baby in a pram, and I held the door open for them to the elevator, the lift. I'm not American. The lift, yeah, and
scared
they
to get
refused
inside.
to get in.
Looking at your tattoos.
They refused to get in, and I said, no, it's okay. I said, what? And okay, so today I deliberately cut my hair like this.
Oh, looking cute.
Fiercer.
You say cute, but yes.
Yeah.
With-
So
It looks more like
I
a
know
punk.
that yes.
Yeah.
So I tell you something. I bet you, man, I'm gonna have cops asking me for my IC.
Yeah.
You know?
All right,
Prejudice.
guys. On this
So-
wonderful
But
story.
what I'm
Point.
saying is
Yeah.
that society should stop that.
Yeah. So, the prejudice is there
Yeah.
against
That-
people in this industry as well,
Alright. And thank you,
So-
guys.
And I think it needs a change of mindset, which leads us to what,
Oh, yes.
is-
And I
is-
think we need to move on because we're running out of time. And I hear you about the prejudice. I agree. But having said that, I suppose each individual have to make their own decisions about how they want to
I just
move
want to
on
say this. I
in their
think
lives.
that, yes.
So, Chris, you're going to be wrapping the show today with our
I thought we were going to talk about
the elections. I
yeah.
think we have run out of time.
We
and
have?
Our wonderful producer has been trying to wrap up.
okay.
So, would you like to tell us a wonderful
okay.
obituary about
I,
a tribute
I,
to Sean Connery?
I won't end with a quote today or song lyrics because, man, it spoiled my entire day when we got the news. The world got the news that Sir Sean Connery passed away at a nice ripe old age of 90. He died in his sleep. What a hell of a way to go. Big influence on someone like me.
Because he's a big James Bond fanatic.
Massive fanatic.
Yeah. So
James
just for you
Bond
guys out
fanatic.
there, in case you're wondering.
Massive, man. I mean, so many things I can say about this guy, Sir Sean Connery. I mean, he was described as to have a gait like a panther, which is true. If you watch his earlier movies, including the Bond movies, and you see him walk, this guy floats, man. Or he looks like a panther stalking someone. And the good looks, I mean, every man's man, it's such an alpha, right? And the way he even well, this show is not just going to be mostly watched by adults. The way he likes his cigarettes, man, is panache, But the most important thing is, in real life, what's he all about? This guy, I mean, even in real life, he was quite something. I just give you a little bit of trivia. He's the first original Bond, the first actor to ever play Bond. And he started with the movie Dr. No. And he quit after he'd done You Only Live Twice, the one that was set in Japan. He quit. And then George Lazenby took over, and he only did one movie, on Her Majesty's Secret Service. George Lazenby quit. He wasn't fired. A lot of people thought he was fired. Then the producers begged Connery to come back to do one more movie. And that was Diamonds Are Forever. And Connery said he hates Bond. He wished he could kill him if the guy was alive. If he was real, he would kill him. But he said, I will come back to do this movie one last time on one condition, that all of his payment and some part of the proceeds of the movie takings go to the Scottish Children's Education Foundation that he set up.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And back then, right? I think it was in the 60s, late 60s. $1 million was a lot of money. So he didn't take a cent for that movie. He didn't take a cent. He is definitely a patriotic Scot. And I have here in front of me some quotes that he mentioned during his lifetime that I thought were pretty good. I'm not going to go to all of them, but some of the good ones. He said things like, there is nothing like a challenge to bring out the best in a man. Love may not make the world go round, but I admit that it makes the ride worthwhile. He said things like, you call it luck, I call it destiny. Shucks, did I sound like him just now when I said that? So, this guy was a hell of a man. And he started his life poor. His bed was a drawer when he was a child.
Wow.
He didn't have a cot. He slept in a drawer. And he was a milkman. He was a bricklayer. He was a lifeguard. He was a coffin polisher.
Wow.
He was third in Mr. Universe.
That's
he was
what
and then after that he joined the Royal Navy at 18. He didn't have much of an education, formal education, and he said this. I would just watch the tribute to him this morning, and when he accepted an award by the AFI, in his acceptance speech, he said, "If there's any one thing I can say, I mean, I don't have a formal education, but the most important thing I have is that I've learned to read." The most important thing any person should have in life is the gift to read. And that caught me. I mean, it's so true, isn't it? If you can read, so much can be achieved. Yeah. So, Sean Connery. So, Sean Connery, may you rest in peace. And thank you for the movies. And thank you for inspiring someone like me all my life.
Yes, and a whole lot of us. Just watching him was a treat. So, would you like to close the show?
Yes. Okay.
Or
okay.
should I go back to my quote?
You please go ahead with your quote.
Because we've got Sean Connery in the mind, but I was just thinking about today's topics about election and vigilantism, and which includes reporting abuse. And so I'd just like to quote Jon Stewart. The best defense against bullshit is vigilance. So if you smell something, say something.
Don't just
That's
take
what I
photos.
think. Yeah.
Don't just take photos.
Don't just take photos, say something.
Gilbert, all yours before I close.
Yeah, so we're living in very tough times right now. The world, if you've not noticed, is really in a very bad position. Thankfully, I think the United States is pulling itself back from the brink of the abyss, and that Joe Biden is going to eventually win this. But the rest of the world is really in a bad situation. The COVID situation is not getting better. Europe is seeing more cases than ever. The United States had 100,000 new cases yesterday in just one day, while the incumbent president has just made fun of people who wear masks again, and saying that it's all politics. My point basically is that we in Singapore have been really cocooned and sheltered for a very long time. And we are lucky, even though we had the lockdown. now the number of cases is down. We're going back to life as normal as we can, but the economy is still not doing well. So, when Chris talked about Sean Connery and the kind of work that he did, polishing coffins and doing menial labor just to get by, I think that, I'm not saying that everyone has to do this, but I think we need to get into our mind that we live in a different world and not to be so stuck in the past and mindset and having these mental blocks about what we can and cannot do. And especially to not denigrate the people from other countries who are here to do the jobs that we do not want.
To do.
And there are so many of you out there who are doing this. And I think that you just need to stop. You need to recognize the universality of human beings and to give respect to these people who are here away from their families doing the jobs that we do not want. So be safe and be kind.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to close off and I'm going to say this. I just found this sweet little morsel of wisdom that I want to really, hopefully, the vigilante in Tampines, that 60-year-old gentleman, will hear what I'm going to say to him. He's 62, right? In the words of Sir Sean Connery, some age, others mature.
Oh, he was mature. Yes, he was.
And with that, thank you for watching this episode of In Our Humble Opinion. And make sure you catch us again for the next one, yeah? Like, comment, share, subscribe. Until next time, stay safe and stay sane. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.